IPMNation.com.
Oh my God, I'm president. I'm so rich and I'm an ass. And there's a wig on my head. I just FaceTime Putin. I told him I'm his biggest fan. Got so much scandal on the front page. Holy shit, let's build a wall. Ooh, I can tweet so well. Wonder if I can say the N-word. Wait, can I really say the N-word?
North Korea. North Korea. In North Korea. North Korea. In North Korea. North Korea. North Korea.
North Korea. I woke up in Donald Trump's body. So orange, overweight, and slightly balding. Now I got no choice but to ruin this country. I can't believe that it's Freaky Friday. It's Freaky Friday in Donald Trump's body. I eat pizza the wrong way and I drink water like a widow.
Jeez, how much dope have you smoked? I mean, you know, party hard, right? Ugh.
Sequence starts. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What a jackass.
Everybody, welcome. It's that time again. Happy Friday. It's Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live. WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from what's getting to be a hot, sticky downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Or at least it is inside. Actually, it seemed fine outside, but it's 1,000,000 degrees in here. But that's okay. I've got the window open. It's getting to be that time of year. You know, soon it'll be that time where I don't even have to turn the lights on in here. It'll be bright enough. It's kind of nice in the heat of the summer, you know, when, you just open all the windows here in the studio and just leave the lights off during the day. It's kind of nice. But that's more for when it's like 80, 90 degrees out. I don't know what degrees are. 80, 90 degrees. Anyway, so we are live on WMNH 95.3 and Comcast 97 in Manchester, streaming at WMNHradio.org and on Facebook. On Facebook Live, the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. Today is Friday, May 17th, 2019. The number to call is 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007, or, of course, you can always opine and interact in the Facebook Live chat as well. But would love to hear your voice at 603-250-6007. It was the audio was clipping a little bit, but I was trying to play it at the beginning. If you're not sure what that was, so I opened with that clip from CBS News about the farmers that are having a great deal of trouble under these tariffs, and this trade war that the president has brought us into that's affecting these farmers terribly. And then I played the clip from what was it? Some awards show from back in 2005. A pre-presidential Donald Trump, a pre-political Donald Trump in some ways, because he didn't really become, he'd always flirted with politics, right? But he didn't really penetrate the political scene until 2011 when he made himself king of the birthers and so forth. But But that was from 2005. That was he and Megan Mullany of, what's the show? Will and Grace, with doing Green Acres, the theme song from Green Acres. You youngins out there don't even know what that is, probably, but it was a television sitcom from, the 50s? Maybe early 60s? I'm not sure. I watched it in reruns when I was a kid, although I never really got that much into it. But the theme song is iconic. And we have a call. We'll go ahead and grab this, our first call of the day. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hello, it's Easy G.
Easy G.
I don't know if you heard the bad news. The wrestling world lost another lady wrestler.
Ashley Mazzaro, or Massaro, however you say her name.
Yeah.
39 years old.
WWE Women's Champion.
Yes, and a former paramour of
years
Matt
old.
Hardy.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
Kind of unexpected.
Unexpected indeed, yes. Well, it's she did have a bit of a history of substance abuse. So,
oh boy, I didn't know that.
That may have played a role. But
Ric Flair's back in the hospital.
He is, yeah. Apparently, they're waiting.
Kind of problem with his heart, and I tell you, all the years of him drinking, it's really come back to haunt him. He almost died a while back.
Oh yeah. He very nearly did die.
He was in a coma.
Yeah. He was in a medically induced coma, so they could do a big surgery on him.
His wife said he's going to be going to make it, but you never know when you have a heart procedure.
Right. Well, he is 70, and he put a lot of miles
Is he really
on him.
70 now?
Oh yeah, he's 70 years old, which isn't that old in the grand scheme of things in a lot of ways.
I guess his wrestling days are over.
Yes, I don't think we'll be seeing him in the squared circle again, actively competing and performing. Easy G. I do believe his wrestling days are over.
That could definitely kill him too.
Well, there was a 51-year-old who died of a heart attack in the ring just recently. I think we talked about that. Silver King.
Oh yeah, it did. It seems like these celebrities are dropping dead like water comes out of a sink.
That's a very strange analogy, Easy G.
Yeah. I hate seeing reports like that, when people die.
I hate it too. They're dropping dead like water coming out of a sink. Sounds a little smoother when I say
really
it.
Doesn't make much sense, does it?
Yeah, no.
Well, have a good show. Let's try to give my death report for the day. So.
Thank you, Easy G. Always appreciate a death report.
Rest in peace for the Ashley family.
Yeah.
Hopefully Ric Flair won't be joining that club. I hope not.
Well, the Massaro family. Ashley was her first name, but point taken, Easy G.
I know.
Yes.
I know he's a big star in the wrestling world. So that would be a
Ric Flair.
That'd be one of those guys where they ring the bells 10 times on Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
I have
Well,
a feeling that Ashley probably won't get those 10 bells.
Ashley Massaro? No. They'll acknowledge her, but they won't.
Only certain wrestlers get that award.
Yeah, she won't. She won't get a 10-bell salute. I'd be very surprised.
Probably not.
No, I'd probably not.
Maybe a short video or something.
Oh, they'll do that. They'll do that. Sure. Yeah.
I know they have the king. They're not the king, but the Money in the Bank this Sunday.
Money in the Bank.
It's interesting to see who gets
money.
Whoever wins the Money in the Bank always gets the belt later. It's the rule.
Well, not always. Baron Corbin didn't, and neither did, who was the other guy? The intellectual savior.
Well, usually it's a rule.
Yeah, the guy who cashed in. Damian Sandow did not either.
I guess there's always rules, always exceptions to the rule. All righty, have a great show. I'll be listening.
All right, Easy G. Thank you for the call. All right, the great Eric Gagnon calling with our a quick death report. Great way to start the show, of course, yes. Yeah, Ashley Massaro, 39 years old. But Ric Flair, for those who don't, because Ric Flair really transcends wrestling, doesn't he? Everyone knows who Ric Flair is. If I had a Ric Flair soundboard queued up, I'd play a big woo. But yes, Ric Flair back in the hospital. Lauren DeLuca joins us in the Facebook live chat. If you missed the show on Wednesday, Lauren was on with us by phone. For the entire 2 hours. It was a great show. We do archive all the shows at WMNHradio.org, where you can stream them, download them, keep them forever and ever. Enjoy them at your leisure. And so if you miss that, you can check that out. I would recommend it. Of course, we also put them all up on the WMNH YouTube channel. Hello to Christian Cunard, who joins us in the Facebook live chat as well. So I want to get back to this. We won't spend too much time on it, but this whole thing with the farmers, they've actually managed to find on cable news, even on Fox, a farmer, I believe, from the great state of Iowa, the first in the nation caucus, by the way, they found a farmer to actually go on the news and say, express upset with this trade war and this tariff policy that is causing so much pain for these farmers. And I put it that way for a reason. It might sound odd the way I say that. It might sound almost as odd as Easy G saying, talking about celebrities dropping dead like water out of a faucet. But the reason I put it the way that I do is that I often talk about on the show, one of the reasons I believe that Trump will very likely win re-election in 2020 is that it's almost impossible for most, not all. I mean, we have a listener of the show who's very often in the Facebook live chat, Rhonda, who regrets voting for Trump. But most Trump supporters I know and see in the media and whatnot, they're good with anything that Trump does. And by the way, I often use tariffs as an example. For decades, the Republican Party marketed and branded itself as the party of free trade, and not liking things like tariffs. We're free marketers. We're for free trade. And then Trump came along and said, no, we're a protectionist party now. We're a tariffs party. We're protectionists now. No more free trade. And then the entire Republican Party said, oh, okay, this is what Daddy wants. So we're the party of protectionism now. I talk about that a lot. The hold that Trump has on his supporters, it's cult-like. It's the kind of reverence and loyalty that Ronald Reagan, the patron saint of conservatism, would have been envious of, right? And I've often talked on the show about how, I think it was about 6 months ago, when a lot of these farmers, a lot of farmers in the Midwest have gone bankrupt because this trade war has destroyed them. And I was reading this piece online where, these journalists were talking to these farmers. Hello to Chris Rose, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. These journalists were talking to these farmers who supported Trump and, asking them, well, how do you feel about the president now? He started this trade war and these tariffs have wiped you out. And these farmers, their whole attitude is like, they just kind of shrug and say, well, it really hurts to have my entire livelihood and my life's work destroyed in a matter of months, but he's my president and I support him. He's rich and successful. He must know something I don't. So I'll vote for him again. And it was reading that really got me thinking that, no, it really is true. Once most individuals decide to support Trump, there is nothing he can do that will disappoint and upset you. Like Trump, these farmers quoted in that piece were an example of how the president can literally destroy your livelihood and ruin your life, and you'll still support him. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. So that's why I put it this way, where it's almost like, these cable news outlets manage to find farmers to come on their programs and say, no, I'm not. I mean, one farmer comes right out and says, hell no, this grizzled old guy, hell no, I'm not going to vote for him again, and so they were able to find a few. But you would think under ordinary circumstances, they'd be able to find many, many farmers to come on these shows. And it's not that the farmers who've been affected, it's not that many of them. It's not like it's only a handful. No, there's been a spate of bankruptcies in the last 6 months in the Midwest. Farms going bankrupt. This is a trend. It's an epidemic. But most people, it doesn't matter. Trump's policy can ruin your life, and if you voted for him once, you'll vote for him again. It's very, very bizarre. I always say it's the greatest example of mass hypnosis I've ever seen. That's why I think he'll win. I do believe he'll win re-election in 2020. I really do. Because all he has to do is get everyone who voted for him the first time to vote for him again. And I think probably 99.99% of them will. As long as the economy is good overall, because the economy trumps everything else. No pun intended, I promise. But it really is true. That is the overarching issue. And in fairness, I mean, there's no denying the economy seems to be doing very, very well. Not in all sectors, but it's never, the economy itself is never perfect. But they have managed to, they did manage to find a few folks to go on cable news and say, yeah, we're actually not pleased with this policy. But even some of the farmers that I did see on cable news in the last several days, they kind of soft pedal it. They don't want to be too harsh in their criticism of Trump because they do love him. They do adore him. For whatever reason, they just it's just this one thing. It's just having their livelihoods and lives ruined is not their favorite thing in the world. Let me put it that way. They're not going to get too upset about it. Because he is their leader, and they love him, but they're not necessarily happy about going bankrupt either. It's not to their credit, at least they don't try to argue that it has nothing to do with Trump's policy. But like I said, the entire Republican Party just kind of said, yeah, fine, we're for tariffs now, we're for protectionism. Even Chuck Grassley, senator from Iowa, was, I think, one of the last holdouts. He was very, very explicit in saying in the media, this is terrible. The president is absolutely wrong about this. And he's doing a disservice to the farming sector, and this needs to stop. And then he folded. In the end, just like the rest of them, he shrugged and said, well, okay, I guess it's no problem. So, there's farmers in Florida who are being affected by this, by the way, very severely. It's also a big problem in Florida, and you can't win the presidency without carrying Florida, in theory. I mean, mathematically, you can, but in terms of electoral math, it's certainly possible to, of course, but it's unlikely. And, so they might want to be wary about that. But here's the thing. Trump knows. He knows. He understands the hold that he has over these people. That's why he made that joke, and it was a joke. I mean, he didn't literally mean he was going to shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue. But that's why during the campaign he made that joke about, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose a single supporter. I mean, there's often truth in humor, and that is basically true. And I think that's why he has or maybe it's just a complete lack of self-awareness. I don't know, because I don't think he's the most self-aware guy. But that's why he has the testicles, to use the Greek term, to actually ask farmers now, just in case anyone is upset, other than the few that they managed to scrounge up to go on cable news, just in case there are some farmers who voted for him who are really, really peeved about having their businesses and their livelihoods completely destroyed by the president. He's reminding them it's the patriotic thing to do to allow the government to ruin your life. It's the patriotic thing to do. If you're a farmer and you're a true patriot, you'll suck it up and understand. From Politico, Trump asking farmers to make, quote, patriotic sacrifices in his trade war. The president is issuing a rare political call for American workers to take on pain in the name of a greater good. Wow. That's phenomenal. Yeah, it sucks to have your life ruined, but it's for the greater good. Do it for your country. That's an odd siren. You guys hear that? What are we, in Europe? What a weird siren. I don't know if the mic picked that up or not. Couldn't really hear it that well in the headphones, but it sounds like we're in London. I mean, I'm used to hearing sirens during the show, but that was just odd. It says here, President Donald Trump and his allies are appealing to nationalism in the trade war with China, calling on Americans to make patriotic sacrifices in language reminiscent of national crises and even wars. Under the Make America Great Again banner, Trump has sought to make patriotism cool again. And as he extends his showdown with Beijing, he is targeting the message to the farmers who bear much of the burden of Chinese tariffs. The president wrote in a series of tweets on Tuesday, quote, "Our great patriot farmers," and by the way, he capitalized patriot and farmers, "our great patriot farmers will be one of the biggest beneficiaries of what is happening now." What? Oh, I get it. He's saying will be as in the future. So right now, if you're a farmer under this trade policy, everything sucks. But don't worry, you will be one of the great beneficiaries at some future unspecified date. Don't worry. Sounds a little like checks in the mail to me, but don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Don't you trust me? I'm Donald Trump. Let's see. Trump's claim followed China's announcement that it plans to retaliate against his latest tariffs with increased duties on $60 billion in U.S. goods and an escalating showdown with no end in sight. Trump has often made political appeals to patriotism, as when he urged NFL executives to ban player protests during the national anthem. I know. I get it. I mean, what's less patriotic than, protesting something you don't like? I mean, this country was founded on compliance. Sit down and shut up. That's what America's about. Aside from that whole Revolutionary War thing where the country started. But everything after that, you just got to fall in line. Know your place. As The Rock used to say, know your role and shut your mouth. Those players with all their violent, unseemly kneeling, how dare they? I wonder what kind of outrage there would have been if there were white players kneeling instead. I'm sure everyone would have been just as upset and freaked out. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying, I just wonder if you had a bunch of white dudes kneeling. It would have been the exact same reaction, I'm sure. Anyway, let's see. But the China trade is the first case where he has called for Americans, in this case farmers and other workers, including ranchers and industrial workers hit by tariffs, to sacrifice in the name of a long-term greater national good. By the way, do any of you, when you hear a rich guy or an alleged rich guy talking about how others have to sacrifice, do you feel like throwing up in a bucket? I'm just curious if it's just me. I don't have a bucket handy, so I can't. I'm going to have to just kind of swallow it back down. It kind of burns in my throat a little bit, but, I'm a professional. I'll do what I have to do. But, hello to Wade Hall, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Wade, I hope you're feeling better. But, yeah, when I hear a rich guy who's never had to struggle or... Look, I'm not trying to make it a class warfare thing. Not his fault he was born the son of Fred Trump. I don't hold that against him. He won the lottery in that case, right? But I'm just saying, when I hear someone with that background lecturing other Americans about, well, you're just going to have to sacrifice, sorry, your farm went bankrupt. Sorry, you have to struggle to feed yourself and your family. Sorry, your home is being repossessed by the bank. You're just gonna have to sacrifice. You can do that, right? As an American patriot, you don't mind a little sacrifice, right? I kind of want to throw up in a bucket when I hear a rich guy talking that way. That's just me, I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're wearing an expensive suit and always have, I don't want to hear you lecturing me or anyone else about sacrifice. That's just me. Many of you are probably fine with it. I've actually heard people who are very supportive of Trump talk about how much he has sacrificed by running for president. Oh, wait. I heard Trump himself say that, didn't he? When he was, didn't somebody ask him, like, has he ever had to sacrifice anything in his life? And he said something like, well, I sacrificed a lot to run for president, which actually, in a sense, is true, because all the investigations, all the looking into of malfeasance and fraud, and I'm not even talking about the Mueller report. I'm talking about, what's going on in the state of New York and what the state attorney general is investigating and the Trump Foundation and all that. Well, that might have happened regardless, but there's a lot that would not have happened, and clearly that wouldn't have happened to his friends, some of his buddies, had he not run for president. So in a certain sense, he actually did sacrifice a lot, I guess. I just don't want to hear him lecturing anybody about it. That's just me. Hello to Gia in the Facebook live chat. Welcome. Let's see. So again, continuing on, this is from Politico. It also mirrors, albeit in milder terms, the message the Chinese state media has employed in recent days as the country attempts to brace its own people for a painful trade fight with the U.S. Quote, farmers are patriotic and understand that... Jeez. The nerve of these people. Anyway, sorry, let me start that again. Farmers are patriotic and understand that someone had to finally call China to account, unquote, said Tim Murtaugh, communications director for Trump's 2020 campaign, adding that farmers, quote, understand the long game because long-term planning is what they do, unquote. I hate these people. Dude, yeah, farms have been struggling for generations as it is in this country. Why do you think we have an annual music festival in this country called Farm Aid? Why do you think we have to subsidize? Why does our government subsidize the farms? Why is there such a thing as farm subsidies? They've already been struggling for generations. And then you guys come along and make it even harder, even unnecessarily harder for them. And then you just shrug it off like, they're used to this. They're patriotic. They don't mind. They don't mind sacrifice. They're used to long-term planning. They've probably all got a few $1 million in the bank. It's that sickening attitude. You know, it's the same thing. It's like like during the government shutdown, right? When you had people who were really finding themselves in dire straits. And then, some people would say, oh, well, they just borrow the money from a relative or something. They'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's like, oh, yeah, it's so easy to just have no empathy for other people. And to use patriotism as a means to try to guilt people into being okay with the entirely unnecessary, unneeded, unsolicited pain that is being inflicted upon them is just so gross. It really is. It's just disgusting. More from Politico. The appeal to patriotism underscores the degree to which Trump is casting his showdown with China in terms that go beyond free markets and trade deficits. The president and his advisors speak of China as a threat to American interests and values in a global competition to define the 21st century, claiming that a little sacrifice from everyone will help extinguish the threat. By the way, well, a couple things. First of all, let me just say, I understand that there is a threat from China. I've read a lot about this. Economists talking about this. There is a threat there. There is a trade imbalance, and they don't respect intellectual property. They're known for stealing IP and other things, technology and so forth. There are problems. But why do we have to harm ourselves to try to solve those problems. Aren't there, I don't know, smarter ways to do it? Because here's the thing. You might be listening to this and you might be one of these sort of sociopathic people who just goes, well, I'm glad I'm not a farmer, so what do I care? This doesn't affect me. And if that's your attitude, by the way, you're not only a sociopath, but you're a fool. Because it does affect you. It affects food prices. Oh, you want to know another big way it affects you? And again, I know Republicans don't care about this anymore. Just like Republicans used to be the party of free trade, and Trump came along and said, oh, no, we're protectionists now. And then y'all just kind of shrugged and said, okay, we're protectionists now. Dick Cheney during the Bush administration said, well, deficits don't matter. And then y'all just kind of shrugged and said, okay, I guess deficits don't matter. But this is probably the most sickening part of the whole deal. While this is going on, Trump is pushing to bail out the farmers with this massive bailout plan. So we're trying to win this trade war with China. We're forcing all these farmers into bankruptcy, and the president wants you, with your tax dollars, to pay for bailing the very people out who we didn't have to hurt to begin with any of this nonsense. So it's this weird cycle that we're in now. It's bizarre. And I guarantee you, the Chinese are laughing their asses off at us through all of this.
No, they're not.
Oh, I think they are. John Hopwood is here. John's a big fan of tariffs.
Am I on?
Yes? You can't hear yourself in the headphones?
I was hearing your ranting.
Yes.
I can't believe what you're saying. So nobody should make any sacrifices at all, right? I mean, do you realize in the 70s we embargoed the Soviet Union, which is a major importer of our grain, because they wouldn't let Jews immigrate to Israel and because they were anti-Semitic? Nobody, do you think people talked about, the poor farmers? Because then they would try to get contracts from like Argentina, the Soviets, and places. That was part of a sacrifice people made back in the 70s. I mean, why are you talking like that? It's not just, and look at your face. You don't remember history because don't you know about that? What about my parents? Everybody made sacrifices. And so a person should just put their own self-interest above everything else.
Well, the reason I make those faces is you have a tendency to make these counter-arguments that don't address what I actually said.
How is that not addressing when the farmers in the 70s made big sacrifices?
Number one, when did I ever say that no one should ever have to sacrifice anything?
When did I ever say? That's what you're
I never said
saying.
that. I never said that.
That's what you're saying.
But why do we have?
This is called we're going to have some good radio.
Yes, but why do we have to? Well, you just kind of.
Hello there. Hello, guys.
Now that you've broken the fourth wall.
Hello, guys.
But
Can we get the baby? I mean, he's not a baby.
Oh.
Can we get the crying? I got Matt crying here.
I had it, but
I had the
volume down.
Can't get this.
People. Why are you bringing race into it now?
For you,
how dare you?
Because you're a Yeti. For you people that can't get this on the video, there's a tear in Matt's eye.
There are two tears, one in each eye. I'm very sad now.
Yes, and you used to pretend that you were a Native American too, didn't you? Yeti as a Yeti, or was am I just Is that just the group blame?
We're native to this continent, if that's what you mean, yes.
And what about the Bering Strait? Oh, that's right. The Bering Strait didn't exist back then.
That's really offensive.
Well, it's Friday.
I was born in the forest in Hartford, Connecticut.
You were getting boring. I didn't have a phone to call in.
I don't think I was good. The chat room likes it.
They're all.
I find this all absurd.
You're full. It's a trade war, and that was the Democratic position. Clinton was hard on China. It's not that first of all, when they talk about farmers, isn't it you mean agribusiness?
Yeah. But these individuals are farmers. We don't call them agribusinessmen. I mean, I'm sure you do. Probably somebody does, but
what about recycling? The Chinese retaliated against us a year ago, not taking recycling.
Yeah, I'm not saying China isn't a pain in our keister. I'm just saying, could we not destroy? Could we not force our own
Why are we destroying them?
Could we
bailed everybody else in Christendom and any other dom out.
Could we not force our own agribusinessmen into bankruptcy? And why are we bailing? So how is it that we're solving the problem if
the EU doesn't have a problem with China?
We're then paying for it ourselves.
Well,
by bailing our own people
yet
out.
Another thing is, go back to the Japanese dumping cars in the United States, which was provable. And you should have seen Detroit in 1980, in the early 80s. And I remember Ronald Reagan saying, well, let them just move down to Texas where, the new non-union car plants would be put in. And if you'd ever seen Detroit in the 1980s, you'd think, hey, maybe that's not a bad idea.
Well,
but you didn't admit something like that.
It sounds frightening. I wouldn't want to have seen that. That's I've been to Detroit.
Matt.
Well, I've driven through it with the doors locked. Let me amend that.
Matt, I was just talking today to a former mayor.
I never exited the vehicle.
And as a Yeti, you wouldn't understand the footwear business because of those calloused paws that you walk on. Sometimes look like patent leather, but they aren't real shoes.
They're not that calloused.
It's pretty good in the winter, right? When, you can let all the hair grow out and it looks like the cool type of 60s retro boots. Well,
actually, that is pretty cool.
We lost the shoe business here in Manchester because of imports of Italian shoes.
Well, why didn't the local taxpayers of Manchester just bail out the shoe business?
The federal government did, under the law, because the workers were victims of unfair trade, did help. I remember when I lost my first job to India of 3, we had a switch in administrations, and so the NLRB declared, even though we were put out of work by unfair competition, since we made electronic products, and that wasn't a physical product, although that was a lie because it came on a disc, and we were mostly a database company. Since it wasn't a physical product, well, it didn't qualify under the law. It was the factory relocation law and helping people. And right now, and when they're working on trade agreements, they're considering language that would factor in to protect certain services. Architects, lawyers, from international competition. Because you can do, and it's already been done, in India, you can do back office work for a law firm. They have an Anglo-Saxon system. My job at Oxford University Press, India.
Yes.
You can do work there.
You can.
So this isn't just about farmers. And you don't even know how to pronounce the right word.
Farmers?
Farmer.
Farmer?
Farmer.
Sorry.
You know what I liked about Enoch Willard? Not only was he a fellow Yankee, but he had a good New Hampshire accent.
I don't like dropping my R's. It's uncomfortable.
Oh, you had such a tragic childhood. They tried to bring you up properly.
Yes.
And that's about the worst thing that could happen to anybody, Matt.
Well, that's what happened.
The Buster Brown collar that you used to have to wear to Sunday school. Because, your parents had a very old-fashioned 19th century Victorian idea of propriety.
I didn't have to go to Sunday school. I went to an actual Catholic school from grade 2 to grade 8. There was no Sunday school for me. Wasn't necessary.
Catholic, the word Catholic means liberal. Are you talking about the Holy Roman Catholic Church or just some type of concoction that Yetis, in their mimicry of, people often do, That was what's so odd, with Matt, It's a perfect reproduction of, American society when you go into the house, except it's a little skewed, like in a Twilight Zone episode, because he's using, an ad from 1954 or something to set up his reality. Come on, Matt. You're not ready to improvise today?
I was with you through most of that, but toward the end, you kind of lost me a little bit.
You've never seen the thing where there is a Twilight episode with the aliens? No, it's the movie. They base reality. All they know about Earth is from a Sears catalog.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
I can't remember what it was.
I've seen all the episodes and the movie.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
All they know is from like an old catalog.
That does sound familiar.
Which was trade embargoed, by the way. You know, the bark. You know, you can't even get an orange bark Alanger anymore.
You can't? Well, that's a disgrace.
I wanted to buy an orange.
Does Trump know this?
When I was in Carmel by the Sea, I was going to buy a 91-inch Chesterfield from England. And I was going to get it some type of color, like orange or something. But it wouldn't fit in the shack.
How many inches?
91.
About 7 or 8 inches.
Oh, sorry, virtual John
7
Hopwood
times
butting in there.
8. I'm going to embargo. What happened to virtual John Hopwood?
Oh, I don't know. I heard from him a couple times on the phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's intellectual property.
What is?
You're claiming it?
What do you mean?
Come
I
save
might-
my face.
I might have to embargo that.
Oh my goodness! Well,
Oh, you know, farmers.
we'd hate to be embargoed.
What Yeti has ever been a farmer?
That's how we eat.
I thought you just dug tubers with your paws.
No, that's a terrible stereotype and
I miss
hurtful and cruel.
I miss the old days, you know, when people would go out and dig up the tubers.
I don't. What is a tuber?
Well, a potato is a type of tuber.
Really?
You never studied anthropology? Oh, that's right. In your day, you weren't allowed in universities.
Actually, I took anthropology in high school.
Well, I got an A+. I should have pursued it
I did horribly at
at
it.
university. Oh, I loved it.
Oh.
It was great. I wanted to do all sorts of things. Like I was at Africa Studies Center, but it was my brother wound up doing all the stuff I wanted to do, and just by chance. And I don't think he was that impressed.
Oh, well.
What were you talking about besides agriculture today?
Well, there's a fun story here.
Fun?
There's a Michigan state rep is accused of bribing voters via text message, and says
Text message?
he should have called instead. No, that's something different.
Oh, that's municipal, probably.
Yes. Yeah, it says here, this is from The Hill. A Michigan state rep accused of bribery blamed the situation on a misunderstanding. It's always a misunderstanding.
But it is.
I know. Oh, I know. I'm sure he meant nothing.
Well, what did he ask for?
Well, it says Larry Inman, a Republican on Tuesday, was indicted on charges of extortion, bribery, and lying to an FBI agent. Oh, yeah. Here's another one. Him and Michael Flynn. They don't know you're not supposed to do that. M Live reported today, Inman told the outlet that the situation was really, quote, just talking from one friend to another. I was never a texter. If I had something to say, I would either call them, and that's what I should have done in the long run, because texts can be misinterpreted, unquote. Well, which is true. Prosecutors accused him of soliciting a bribe from
you misinterpreted what I was saying.
Well, you were saying when?
None.
When?
Just now.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
No. But that wasn't a text.
Oh, I thought that on your show you haven't got the new software?
No.
Or is it just an app where everything I say is in a big, like, comic balloon?
Oh, I got to get that. That sounds fun.
We got
might
it
have-
on the morning show.
I think we have to put a green screen behind you for that to work.
Scratching now.
Yes,
Spring's
well,
here, huh,
that's-
buddy?
Yes. I need
Those tears in your eyes,
Well,
maybe, you know.
I need to be trimmed.
Gee, let's not get there.
I'm getting my spring coat.
Trim means some.
Well, it means a few things. Prosecutors accused the lawmaker of soliciting a bribe from the Michigan Regional Council of Carpenters and Millwrights and a union lobbyist. Inman allegedly said that he and other legislators could be convinced to protect a wage law if they received $30,000 worth of campaign donations. Could be convinced. Well, you know, I mean, I could be convinced of a lot of things for 30 grand. I admit it.
He didn't say they would be, though.
Right. He said could be.
Now, that's what the law's about, you know? You know, interpretation.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Here's
That could be a very big door you could go through, you know, with the wrong judge.
that's true.
Or the right judge.
So, citing court documents, here's what he tweeted, quote, "Carpenters have been good to me. Where are the rest of the trades on checks? We only have 12 people to block it. I have heard most got $5,000, not $30,000. It's not worth losing assignments and staffs for $5,000 in the end. They will give you the check back. get with all the trades by Monday, I would suggest doubling what you given on Tuesday ASAP.
This sounds like Wimpy. Well, you're too young for that, too.
From Popeye. I know who Wimpy is. I'm glad you paid Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Was that part of the decor from 1954 in your abode? Wimpy?
1954.
Wimpy, bound. What did they used to call them back in the 50s? It wasn't called Popeye. It's called, the Thimble Theater. Right.
Really?
Castor oil. Really? Well, you're so coy.
He allegedly followed the message with, this is kind of the smoking gun. We never had this discussion. Yeah, when someone says we never had this discussion, that usually means that something bad was discussed. Why would anyone do that via text? I mean, he is right. He should have just called, not because of misunderstandings, but because...
Well, I don't know, Matt. I sent somebody a confidential message, and they revealed it, parts of it, and it's interesting because you often send messages to people,
right?
If you're going to write a story, you make inquiries and stuff,
right. So you're just like,
well, I think the person just people do make mistakes.
You're just kind of hanging out in a hot tub, and you decide to send someone a message.
Let's not go there.
I was just asking.
No,
do you have a hot tub?
Let's not go there.
I don't have one. I've never had one.
Because
no, I'm not.
The more you poke into things,
right? You should never poke into things in a hot tub.
The more you poke into things along those lines,
someone will find out.
You can find out,
oh boy, you'll find out. There should have been more chlorine in there, maybe.
Possibly. So I think that's a terrible breach of my privacy by you revealing the story about my father lived next to Spud Webb and the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I never mentioned Spud Webb.
Oh, you are coy. Oh, boy. Yeah. Just like that large paramecium that calls in. You know how he got me to F-bomb on the radio.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, my father used to live next to Spud Webb, who was, on the Atlanta Hawks. And he's 5'7", and he could dunk. He was very well known. And he had the next door. And he had a hot tub, but he didn't have... He did have a hot tub, and they'd have parties in it. But he didn't put a drain in. So then he'd pull the plug, and the water would come out. So the hedge between him and my father's house died.
Right.
He got along very well with Spud, but that did irritate him about... Because, my father was in home improvements. He could always got him a drain.
Right.
But I was telling that story because my father wasn't wealthy, middle class, but a highly paid all-star basketball player like 1980 was a middle-class person with regular people as neighbors. Well, middle-class people.
Right.
Now they're just highfalutin so-and-sos, and we're paying for it. I think that you should be talking about that for those three guys in the baseball, they got $1 billion in contracts. We have to pay for it. Higher cable, higher cost of Twinkies and Doritos. Or what. We do have Twinkies still, don't we?
No, yeah.
Did they refloat them?
They went away briefly, right?
Yeah, some person saved them, was trying to sell them on eBay for like $10,000. But I guess somebody bought the brand and brought it back. So she went, her scheme to become rich didn't work out very well. I guess those are the original Twinkies.
Apparently, the Trump administration has...
Why do we have to talk about him?
Well, he's the president.
He was never interested in basketball. Football was his game.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was rejected by the NFL.
And two of our last presidents would rather George W. Bush.
He's a baseball
dream job
guy.
Was to be the commissioner. He owned the baseball team. And Donald Trump wanted to buy Buffalo, the Bills, and the NFL. It's like Al Davis in the NFL. And he couldn't get the team. They say there's some if he had gotten the Bills, he would never run for president. But as in the words of he's not the late Joel Elber, but he's not honorable.
Oh my God, I hope not.
I was just with Joel yesterday, and he lives up in Concord now.
Yeah.
Concord, no Concord or any of that. And don't you believe it? That was my slogan for him. What did I write for
What?
him?
That was your
Some
campaign
people
slogan? Don't
say-
you believe it?
Some people say that the New Hampshire advantage is over. Don't you believe it?
Oh, okay.
And it took a while to get that out, on camera.
Yeah, that's. I would imagine. Yes. Oh my. Why?
When you can hear through an entire building people laughing.
Why did you say he's no longer honorable?
Well, he's no longer in the legislature.
Yeah, but you get to be honorable forever.
Oh, come on.
No, it's true. You always get to call yourself honorable.
Now, when he's ordering like an airline ticket, and you notice they got like 8 million different things you can call yourself, except Yeti,
Well, we're not allowed to fly.
Honorable is one of them.
Oh yeah, he can call legally he can call himself honorable forever.
It was pretty, traumatic when you found out that you were on the don't fly list. But that was a long time ago. Before they even called it a don't fly list.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they've
Puddle hopping.
the administration has rejected the House Democrats' subpoena for the president's tax returns, pushing the two sides into closer into a major court fight. This will be fun to see this play out.
What do you think of snitches? Do you still have the soundbite about the president about snitching?
I have this one.
I know all about flipping. For 30, 40 years, I've been watching flippers. It almost ought to be outlawed.
He doesn't like flippers.
I research certain stories, but we have our taboos here at WMNH and stuff. Blah blah blah, so and so and everything. I never, there are some people that are professional snitches.
Mm-hmm. Well, I say snitches get stitches.
How's that?
I don't really say that. I'm actually in favor of
Gonna
whistleblowing.
get itching? Do we need something?
I mean, it can get you in a lot of trouble, though.
When did they flip you? Tell me. Don't lie.
But what would you think of a person that gets close to another person and then, turns them in? Snitching. That's politics.
That's more.
right?
That's more like informing.
But for money.
Well,
Money.
yeah. Well, informants
Because there are
sometimes
people
get paid.
that could use their position or stuff to obtain information and then, make money off of it.
Right.
The human character is complex.
Says who?
Oh, says I.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
This is
agree.
not talking about flipping.
Right. No.
This being made ain't working out the way I thought it would. A lot of responsibilities.
What are you talking about?
Well, I can tell you off air.
Okay.
But I will say that when I was doing a little research and then looking into the law of it, Michael Avenatti's name came up and Michael Cohen.
That guy.
Because I guess Michael Cohen was selling himself access to, people were giving him. One company gave him 1.5 million. Novartis? One of the drug companies. I don't know if it's Novartis.
No, it was Novartis.
Gave him $1.5 million for
Yes.
access. So, we only met with him for 2 minutes. We realized we didn't want to. Yeah,
Right.
but he already had the $1.5 million bucks.
Yeah, boy, that's a good racket, huh?
Yeah, because I guess now Avenatti's in plenty of trouble, but
Oh, yeah.
not like that.
Yeah. But he is in plenty of trouble. That's for sure.
Yeah, because then there was Trump's legal defenses. What's privileged information? But he was pretty loyal to the president until they put the screws to him.
Mm-hmm.
But what about people that their profession is just double crossing people? But sometimes you're desperate, right? Sometimes you failed here or there, and you need cash, and you have access to information that you can sell. Sell out your friends, sell out all sorts of people.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just bringing this up to everybody to contextualize the hard life Donald Trump lives.
Yes.
Surrounded by all these pygmies. What is he? Some type of genius?
He's a stable genius.
Stable genius.
Yes.
All these leeches and parasites that, they just want a piece of him.
Right.
So, flipping.
Yeah.
If I ever got impeached, I think everybody would be very poor.
He's a very, very smart
We'd
guy.
be poor spiritually.
And
particularly farmers.
And he's unparalleled in his knowledge of foreign policy.
Montenegro is a tiny country with very strong people. By the way, they're very strong people. They're very aggressive people. They may get aggressive. And congratulations, you're in World War III.
And
Says who?
That's very true. Since Serbia started World War I and was referenced by candidate Bill Clinton in 1992.
Well, there you go.
Who would know better than the Donald, whose wife's from Slovenia, who's probably fought with the Montenegrins sometime in like the last 1,000 years?
It's amazing, the knowledge in his brain.
Very, very large brain. He said, Donald Trump, they don't know what to do. Never happened.
I was watching Django Unchained again, which is
I haven't seen that, but I should.
It's a real.
I like Tarantino
because he has such satire,
Yeah.
And DiCaprio's playing this disgusting racist plantation owner, straight out like an old silent movie. Oh, and the dimples in somebody's skull tells you that you're servile or you have the capacity for a great intellect. I would like to see the dimples on Donald Trump's skull, wouldn't you? Inside his skull. Well, I think that you.
Ew, I don't want to look inside his skull. That's
this is
gross.
your show. Which sometimes I forget. Mm-hmm. Like when Paul was on it, Sergeant, and it's your show. I think you should demand that he release an MRI of the dimples inside his skull.
His dimples?
The dimples inside his skull to see what his capacities truly are.
That's a very bizarre suggestion.
Jeez, how much dope have you smoked? I mean,
none recently.
Right?
Dimples.
God.
That's a very bizarre
Does
idea.
that guy ever shut up?
Who, Trump? No.
Virtual John Hopwood.
Yeah, he's been pretty quiet. He's a docile creature, surprisingly, given his progenitor.
Well, thank you for asking Norm to exercise the ghost of John McCain so I can show up now.
Yeah, he's been very quiet. I haven't heard him or virtual Dave Ridley, but you know what it is? They've been out-talked by virtual John Hopwood. Yes.
Where's virtual Jim O'Connell to out-talk virtual John Hopwood?
I don't know.
You should have seen Jim on my last show. You gave me the clue about how he loads up an argument before he stops the last one.
Oh, yeah.
It was just... I've never seen anybody that can talk so much. Yeah, I'm saying, we only got 1 minute, Jim. Here comes another lecture.
He talks fast. He's like a liberal Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. But,
he just speaks very, very fast.
Yes.
I mean, you talk fast, but he talks fast.
Fast.
Because you talk fast, but you do include some
pauses.
Some pauses and, an or an here or there. But Jim just...
Jim won't allow a pause because you might jump in.
Heidi says, dimples, that's your nickname, John. Do you have dimples?
I have big dimples inside my skull.
Oh, okay. Now, how do you know they're there? Have you had x-rays?
I did a remote viewing with somebody at the last psychic fair.
Okay.
I don't want to reveal
close enough
the honorable one's name because, she doesn't like to be known for her psychic gifts that came from her Swedish and German forefathers and that helped her win the seat in Ward 10 in the state, state house.
Right.
But, she likes to keep it on the QT.
No, I understand.
Powers. People come to her. Presidential candidates, gubernatorial, whatever, nabobs,
nattering nabobs,
nattering nabobs of negativism and pungents of positivism.
Oh,
I think that you visited. I mean, whoever we're talking about on the West Side.
Well, I did have some X-rays done
remotely.
No,
because there are psychic surgeons and people that can do remote MRIs.
Well, there's Dr. Kevin is a medical intuitive.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't say Heidi. I mean, somebody on the West Side is that. But,
right.
She.
No, I had some actual X-rays done. I'm still stunned to learn that
X-rays?
apparently I have fallopian tubes. It's quite shocking.
You have fallopian tubes in your skull?
No, just where the fallopia is.
Where is that on a Yeti?
Oh, I can't tell you.
Well,
that's a little.
The male member is located.
That's a little personal.
Yeah.
John. Oh, Heidi says you have dimples elsewhere. Do you have dimples on your hiney?
No.
Do you have dimples on your dongle?
I don't have a tiny.
Oh, right. How do you sit?
I have a prosthetic aid.
How do you poop?
What does that have to do with having buttocks?
Well, it kind of comes out in between.
No, it doesn't.
It kind of does, actually. I mean, it kind of.
How do you defecate?
Well, that's
in those Mickey Mouse trousers.
Well, I can't.
Why is the drop?
I can't reveal that.
Why is the drop panel on a Yeti's? Why is it in the front?
This is
not the back.
This is proprietary information. I can't reveal. But I can tell you,
folks.
I can tell you a quick anecdote.
It's all cheesecloth.
When I was potty training, this is probably
Who were you potty training?
My earliest me. This is probably my earliest memory. I was being potty trained the first time on the potty seat. I actually cried afterward because I was fearful that something important had fallen out of me.
I don't believe you.
No, that's actually a true story.
If Dr. Jeff Cassell's out there, I think you should call in as Dr. Jeff Cassell.
And he can psychoanalyze me.
Well,
that is a true story. That's absolutely true.
He is a baby boomer. He was probably, Freud wasn't thrown out of the canon until like 1980 or so. So, there's probably a lot of Freudian whatchamacallit in that. Oh, yeah.
Right. My dad used to say that a lot. According to Freud, he'd say it jokingly.
Yeah, bad potty training. Mm-hmm. That was, the reason that, that the Germans went to war.
Well, no, it was good potty. It was good potty training, and I just had to get past that first hurdle of understanding that that was supposed to happen.
Geez, I don't remember anything like that.
Yeah, it's probably my earliest memory. It's got to be. I hope it is. Actually,
maybe because I, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I was 8.
Yeah.
I was 8 years old, and
8 in Yeti years, or in chronologic, sidereal years.
I shouldn't have even mentioned that part.
Are you ever going to fess up that the Yetis have a deity?
Everyone knows we have a deity.
You've seen the picture at your house.
The great Yeti in the sky.
It didn't look like he was in the sky in that picture.
Well,
looks like he was kind of like thrust up from the earth.
Well, he's in the forest, but
if I'm correct, I think it's actually a still from Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Okay, that's
doctored, and why else would Charlton Heston be in the picture?
That's not only very mean, but blasphemous.
And you do support farmers.
Yeah.
And Willie Nelson.
Yes, he's a Yeti.
Farmer's Aid. And he's unrepentant about it.
That's right.
All that persecution.
That's right, yes.
All that persecution of Yetis.
I know.
Yeah. And it's not even marijuana. They just... I'm sorry to use that phrase. I know that offends you.
I prefer to call it cannabis.
Oh, I thought you called it cow silk.
No.
Were you a fan of the cow silks?
The cow sills? I like some of their early work.
Oh, the cow sills, not the cow silks.
Right.
Yeah.
No, the cow silks is something very different, and that actually refers to something we're not allowed to speak about on the air.
We aren't.
No, it's quite obscene. Hello, sir. We're joined by another guest,
Gene Simmons. I can't see because there's like a halo around them.
Oh my goodness!
Well, who else would it be,
buddy?
How are you, gentlemen?
Well, hello. Oh. Please introduce yourself.
It's good to see you. It's Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Wow. Well, welcome.
Oh, God.
Welcome, Gene Simmons of Kiss.
I was just in the neighborhood. Figured I'd stop by, say hello.
Yes.
My good friend Paulie C. Told me, Matt, that you wanted to spend some personal time together.
Oh.
Outside of the studio. You were concerned that I never would have time to do that with you.
Right. Well, I know that you're very busy, Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Well, I am, but I always have time for my friends. So
wow.
I want to make it official right here and do it publicly.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to take you out to dinner sometime.
Wow.
Dutch, of course.
Yes. Well, of course, Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Right.
Yes.
And wow. Mr. Hopper, or Hopwood.
Hoppers, whatever.
Is welcome.
I'm not worthy
to come along.
Wow.
I am off camera tonight, except for that one way over there, because I'm out of makeup tonight.
You're all out of makeup. My goodness.
Yes, I ran out of makeup.
Are you on a break from the tour?
I've got to stop at Walgreens after the show.
Yes.
I have a discount card.
I'm not on break. I'm just taking a little sabbatical right now. You know, just a little time off from the tour. I'm currently on tour.
It is the end of the road tour.
Is that what we call it this time?
Yes. Yes, the end of the road.
I remember the farewell tour back in 2000, 2001, around that area.
Around that area.
Yes.
Around that era.
That is when we had the original members.
Yes.
All four of us.
Yes.
It was great. We had Ted Nugent open up for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the farewell tour.
Ted is quite a guy.
Is
he certainly is.
Is Peter worse than Ted Nugent when it comes to like smashing things up?
Oh yes.
Let me tell you something. Peter is a teddy bear compared to Ted Nugent.
Oh really?
We should clarify. We're talking about Peter Criss, originally
not
of
Peter
Kiss.
White.
Not Peter White.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Peter Criss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peter Criss of Kiss.
That's right.
That's right.
Peter White's not actually here.
I definitely I have herpes.
I mean, we have a sound clip of him, but he's not actually here.
I feel your pain, Mr. White.
Have you ever had herpes, Gene Simmons of Kiss?
I really don't like to discuss my personal sexual life on the air.
Right? Yes, you've always been very very shy about that, about speaking about that, sex and whatnot.
Well, fortunately for me, the makeup has always provided a protective coating.
Oh.
Throughout my entire body. So.
Wow. I didn't know that's all it took.
You didn't realize I wear the entire makeup coating on my body? You thought it was just the face?
I did.
Yes. Oh. I have the ink all over my body, the white makeup everywhere.
Well, what about all the years that Kiss was not in makeup for 13 years? Did you still...
We still wore it underneath our clothing.
Okay.
We just took it off the faces. It was just a promotional scheme.
Right.
But underneath the clothing, we still had our white makeup on.
Oh, good.
Paul was still the star child underneath his trousers.
Wow. Well, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
He's I mean, he really he's always been the star child, really, with or without makeup.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Did you guys happen to see the Mick Jagger video this week?
76 years old, and he's still
dancing.
He's quite limber.
He's an inspiration to me.
I bet you're pushing 70 now.
I
Gene
am.
Simmons of
I'm
Kiss.
pushing. Well, that's what the press says.
Yes,
that's correct.
Oh,
I might be a little older than that, but
really?
we'll go with pushing 70.
Oh. 70
that
years
sounds good
old.
to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Where did the time all go?
I have corns that are pushing 70 years old. Actually.
Oh my goodness! Wow. But you're not in the same physical condition as Mick Jagger.
I'm not. Well, that's what happens when you stand on stage carrying a bass all night, wearing 19-inch platform shoes.
Yes.
Shoes.
I like how you say shoes, Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Well, I love my shoes.
Wow.
Yes. I'm having fun with this today, Matt.
Well, that's wonderful, Gene Simmons of Kiss.
I'm glad you're on the air. I'm glad I was walking by. You know, I handed out $4,000 to the homeless people today.
Wow.
Just simply walking by me, asking for money.
Wow.
Are you planning to do anything like that after the show? Because I could use some pocket money.
You look like you're very well off, John Hopper.
He is. He's very wealthy.
I give to the needy, even though they're standing underneath signs that clearly say where they can go for help. I'm one of those schmucks who hands them money anyway. I'm one of those schmucks that goes to the forest and feeds the bears, even though there's a big sign that says, "Don't feed the bears, idiot."
Wow. I can't really
Because I feel
imagine.
bad for the bears.
Wow.
And it does my soul good handing some schmuck cash, not realizing that they're not going anywhere and they're going to stay there, and the problem's never going to go away for as long as I keep giving them cash. So I'll have something to keep complaining about.
Well, you're just so generous, Gene Simmons
Well,
of Kiss.
that's just my style.
Wow.
Did you see
I'm
any
a God-fearing Kiss member.
Did you see when you limoed in? Did you see any of the women in their early 30s that are out there with
I
their
actually
signs?
drove over a few.
Wow, you're not supposed
Well, they
to.
probably threw themselves in front of you when they saw.
I'm
the
actually
makeup.
triple parked right now.
You're not supposed to drive over them, Gene Simmons.
Well,
of
they
Kiss.
wouldn't move.
I see.
We know somebody. I won't mention the person's name, but I was together with him driving, and he thought that they were hookers.
Are the
I
phones
wouldn't
blowing
bring
up?
that
I think I just saw a
We
phone
have
call.
we
from
do.
them.
We have
But no, they were just soliciting for
Right.
a couple bucks.
Yeah, sure.
we have a call. Welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed.
Good
Who's on the
afternoon.
line? Gene Simmons of Kiss is with us.
Hi guys. It's Skumpi.
Good afternoon, fan.
Number one.
Good
fan.
afternoon.
Jeff Skumpi Lorenz, you're on the line with Gene Simmons.
He's a
of
groupie.
Kiss. Yes.
Oh, no kidding, huh?
Yes.
Come on
Oh, do I
over.
gotta pay $50? Do I have to pay him $50 down to talk to him or something?
No, you don't. Not right
Okay,
now,
good.
anyway.
He'll invoice you.
You'll bill me later.
Yes.
Actually, we'll be doing an auction.
I just wanted to call tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's the show at Benucci's.
Oh, that's
Just wanted
right.
to remind everybody.
That's right.
Please come on down, man. Enjoy a good rock show. Gene, you should come down too. You're gonna love it. We're even gonna do a couple of Kiss songs for you.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to that.
They're going to sing Beth, especially for you.
Oh.
I'll tell you,
yeah, I don't know about that,
I'll tell you what, Mr. Skumpi. If you do a really good job, maybe we'll consider you to open up for one of our next farewell tours.
The ultimate farewell.
Oh yeah, that's great. What 2040 somewhere around there?
Yeah, we're already planning ahead for our farewell tour in 2053.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Boy.
Yeah.
All right, very good, guys. Hey, I love you guys. Keep rocking.
Say it
you,
again,
fam.
Skumpi.
Thank you, Skumpi.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
That's
Jeff
Jeff.
Con.
I recognize him.
Skumpi seemed a little thrown by
He
the
worship-
presence of Gene Simmons.
He worships Kiss, and
Yes.
Gene is a god.
Yes.
I have that effect on
Look at the
people.
nimbus
Yes.
around him. I can, my eyes.
I'm glowing.
you
It's
are.
because I just got laid before I got here.
Well, of course
Was
you did.
one of the gals from the strip, the median?
No, they were squished.
Is that what you call it?
Yes.
Wow. Well, you are a little, Gene Simmons of Kiss. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, you're not as svelte as Mick Jagger.
It's hard to make love to a homeless woman when the front tire of a limousine is on top of their head.
But they still keep on giving. Well, I mean, you still kept on giving.
What's the matter, Matt? Are you okay over there, Matt?
He said trying to deflect that.
Are you all right, Matt?
You got to put that on a T-shirt, Gene Simmons of Kiss. I can imagine those selling on Kiss Online.
You know,
the imagery is just stunning.
Yes.
That's a good idea, Matt.
And I
might
can
start
see the
marketing
hands
that.
out there.
Oh, boy. Wow. That's,
It actually reminds me of the Kiss video from 1982.
I just appreciate the practical advice that you dispense.
Absolutely.
It's good to
Well, that's what
remember
I'm
that.
here for. When I'm not making music for the masses, I try to give advice to the Kiss Army and all multiple other fans that might be tuning in, or potential fans.
Yes.
This might be one of our farewell tours, Matt, but the music will always carry on.
Yes.
Right.
Gene, I have a question based on an interview you made many years ago. I think it was with Playboy or Penthouse.
One of them.
Although that might give me a Me Too movement.
Sure.
Movement or moment.
Moment.
Or movement.
Yes.
But it is about movements. You are an expert at having sex with groupies in public lavatories.
Well, that's alleged.
Is there any... Well, it's on record. Is there any advice you could have to people, I think we have a public lavatory here.
Mm-hmm.
If they are in the mood,
Oh.
in a tight space,
It's all a matter of timing, Mr. Hopper. So if
that door might pop open.
If I was here doing, say, for example, Matt's show, and a lovely young fan came walking in, and the timing was right, it could be a possibility.
Wow.
So who knows? Who knows? If the price was right, who knows?
If the price is right.
you
Sure.
take tribute.
Do I? I'm
So
sorry?
once your tribute was just the sweet young thing herself.
Oh, well, I would never take advantage of a woman. She'd have to be jumping on me first and letting me know that the answer is yes.
Wow.
Right.
All right.
It's my style, Matt.
Right. Yes.
Your sensitivity is overwhelming.
Yes.
You know why that's my style, Matt?
Why?
Because I'm Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Yes. Yes. And so it's important to make that distinction because there's also Gene Simmons, the actress, who I think has passed away.
That's right. She recently did pass away.
Yes.
I still have all her albums, though.
She may have, I didn't know she made albums. She probably showed up in one of Paul Cormier's death videos, as Easy G likes to refer to them.
I'm not quite sure. I don't watch his videos.
Oh, you're missing out.
They bore me.
Oh, no. Wow. Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Right.
You don't know what you're missing.
Easy G has a question for you, Gene.
Speaking of Easy G, this microphone smells like Easy G.
Easy.
You made
How
him cry.
can you stand Paul Stanley? He has to ask.
Well, Paul Stanley...
he blames everybody, including you, for anything that ever happened.
Yes, but you have to understand that he pays half the bills. So he makes half the money for us, and that's why I love Paul, the star child Stanley, so much.
So KISS is a limited partnership now, 50-50.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, what do you say to folks like Eddie Trunk, for example, who claim that Paul actually runs the band and that you just take credit for everything, Gene Simmons?
I'd say he's absolutely correct.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's part of what makes you a great businessman.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
I come up with the ideas. Paul puts them down on paper, does the entire technical stuff with it, deals with all the men in stuffed shirts, and I just sit back with the pretty ladies.
No kidding.
That's right.
Wow.
They hand me a guitar, they say, all right, start playing, and I play. That's right.
Wow. And how was your experience on Celebrity Apprentice? I know it was years ago, but it's relevant now with our current president.
Well, I've got to tell you, I don't really remember. That was too long ago. And besides, I didn't watch it. Right.
Wow.
I don't like watching myself on TV, Matt.
Oh.
I'd rather sit and listen to my favorite KISS albums when I get home from a long day of touring.
Hey, here's a good question.
Okay.
It seems that in the Queen City, we've been having a problem with public defecation since Frank Zappa and Joe Cocker and other rockers of your generation.
Frank Zappa, great man.
Made public defecation on stage a cultural event.
Right.
There's an insult about you being old and a baby boomer. Do you feel that rockers of your generation, I don't think Mick Jagger ever did, but maybe Jim Morrison, should take some kind of responsibility for the problems with public defecation?
Let me tell you something right now. If a musician's going to drop a deuce on stage, he's going to have to take responsibility for it because he's doing it right in front of 40,000 fans. He's going to have to take responsibility for it.
Like Jim?
Who's he going to blame? The drummer? He's behind a kit. Am I correct, gentlemen?
It wasn't
Peter Criss?
then.
No. Okay. Unless, of course, Peter Criss dropped a deuce behind the drum kit, then he's responsible. So what I'm saying is essentially, if you're going to drop a deuce on stage, be it Jim Morrison or Buddy Holly or whoever, or the great late John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, if you're going to drop a deuce on stage, you've got to claim responsibility for it.
Oh, my God, the laser look in your eyes. It seems like we've hit a nerve
As
there.
far as myself dropping a deuce on stage, I can't knock these people for doing it because I have to admit I've done it once.
Wow.
That was about 3 weeks ago. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, I thought it was the Japanese tour.
No.
Oh,
It was this tour. And, let's just say I'm getting older. That's all.
Right.
So, folks in Manchester, if you... might be Gene Simmons.
There's the song playing. But I got to tell you, it's a great touch when I'm in here and you play my music in the background.
Yes, it's more royalty money for you, Gene Simmons
And
of
you're
KISS.
playing a song with me singing.
Yes. Well, it seemed topical.
Right.
Oh,
Now,
this is good.
Now, let me ask you, is there nothing more harmonious than Paul and myself singing together? It's beautiful.
There really isn't. It really is the
You're
best
playing
thing.
Drop a Deuce?
Well, no, the song isn't called Drop a Deuce.
No, you're playing Deuce.
Yes. Of course I am, Gene Simmons of KISS.
I didn't even refer to that reference when I
Well,
said Drop a Deuce. So,
like the fan
Matt, you're a
said.
genius.
I know.
Like the fan said, you are getting old. Aren't we all?
Matt, I love you.
Oh.
That's why I come visit your radio show.
Aw. I love you, Gene Simmons of KISS.
You dropped a deuce on the turntable.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I love Paul Stanley even more, but
So basically, we have here First Amendment, freedom of expression. Hey, if you're going to drop trial and do it, you're like in the great Frank Zappa, Jim Morrison.
Right.
And just once, Gene Simmons.
Right, just did it once.
Yeah, you just
No,
it's public
just once.
expression.
It felt good, actually.
no. Well, there's still a lot to go.
Expression of your soul.
Nobody noticed. It was fine. It was during I Was Made for Loving You, so everybody was off to the bathroom anyway. Nobody really noticed.
Once again, the bathrooms.
Yes.
Yeah, people forget about what bathrooms meant to the rock generation.
Right.
In those big arena shows.
Sure.
Everybody talks about Woodstock and doing it in the mud rather than a stall at
Right.
some baseball stadium.
Sure.
The Meadowlands.
Can you still do this big scream, Gene Simmons of Kiss?
I want to hear it first, and then I'll try to mimic it. Is it coming up? Was that the scream right there?
Yes.
Of course I can. Let's just leave it at that. In fact, I did that the other night when I dropped a deuce on stage.
you let out a big scream?
In fact, we were singing Deuce when I dropped the deuce, and that's when I dropped the deuce during that scream.
If you let out that sound while dropping a deuce, I would suggest seeing a doctor.
Well, I'm thinking about it.
You are getting up there.
I'm a
Gene Simmons of
musician.
Kiss.
The
Musicians
amoeba.
don't need doctors.
Really?
The amoeba
Right.
asks, did you scream because of your hemorrhoids, old man?
Where are you getting these questions?
Oh, they're just coming right out of the head here.
The hood
we dropped a little acid in before you got here. The roadie gave us some...
He's an incredible interviewer.
we have an oracle right here.
I love that he creates questions and say they're coming from people.
They're coming from the head.
Well, that's how Barbara Walters did it.
I mean, it works. Don't get me wrong. I hate to
You
blow
said
your
we're
cover.
off Are we on camera? Should I have to put this up?
There you go.
There we go.
That masquerade works a lot better when the computer's up, John. When you're sitting there with no source and you're telling me that Jackie in Philadelphia asks me this and that, I'm not buying it.
I always forget that it's just not radio.
By the way, a big shout out to Jackie in Philadelphia. Love you, sweets.
Oh.
Miss you.
Wow. Well,
yes.
We still have, I wonder if we should take a break.
A potty break.
Rob,
yes, I have to fly anyway, so I'm going to let you guys go. Take care.
I was going to say...
Your parking, she might be
I'm triple parked.
expired by now.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Rob from Granite State of Mind will not be in tonight, so we're going all the way to 6 p.m. Ooh. So, but I was thinking we might take a break. And do you have to leave, Gene Simmons?
I have to head out. Yeah. I'm gonna get going. It was nice seeing you guys.
All right, Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Right.
Always nice to see you.
And remember, God gave rock and roll to you, gave rock and roll to you, gave rock and roll to everyone.
Yes. All right, Gene Simmons of Kiss. We'll be back.
I thought that was Ted Nugent said that.
Wow, always nice to see Gene Simmons of Kiss.
We're not worthy.
And we're truly are not worthy. That's remarkable. He seems to like us. And now we're joined in studio by the great Paul Cormier.
Hey, guys. How are you?
You just missed him. You missed Gene Simmons.
Yeah, I saw his
Kiss.
huge entourage outside.
Yes. He had some advice for, interacting with homeless women.
Oh, really?
Very, very helpful.
I missed that. I'm going to have to hear the replay.
Yes.
Do you think part of his attraction to Manchester, I don't know if you heard any of the show, is because of the penchant for public defecation here?
No, I didn't. I was at work.
Oh, okay. What do you think? That was, of his generation, part of a, spiritual or artistic expression.
Part of his generation was public defecation?
Oh, yeah. Frank Zappa, Jim
Oh,
Morrison.
you mean on stage?
On stage, yes, on stage.
Well, listen, that's just because acid was part of his generation. You know what I'm saying? People were dropping acid
but not Gene.
Right.
Yeah,
no,
they
not
say
him.
nobody ever really knows what Morrison did,
Right.
but he was like on acid at the time. But I guess everybody except the Miami police was at that time. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think his generation were doing lots and lots of different experimental drugs and probably drinking an awful lot of beers before the show started.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're in the middle of an experience such as they were back then, like Jim Morrison and so forth, you know what? There's no time to get off stage and take a potty break. You do it right on stage.
That's right.
In front of your fans.
Not when you're in one of those big arenas.
Well, apparently they did it.
Sometimes the bathrooms are far away. Pandora in the Facebook live chat says, Paulie C. Hi.
Hey, Pandora. How are you, dear?
Rhonda Ostrowitz-Favero joins us, as well as Wayne Noel. Hello, Wayne. And Heidi Hamer is giving a shout-out to Bill's Donuts.
Bill's Donuts.
The great Bill Duncan.
The corner of Elm and Varney Street.
It's back. It's back there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you find it. Yeah. You haven't seen it?
No, it's funny because I go by there a lot. No wonder why I couldn't find it at the mall.
You know what I just had there the other day? I had one of his house specialties. I had the bone-in buffalo chicken cruller. You guys have to try that. It's sensational. It's to die for.
Oh, I don't know if I can handle the bone.
Dip it in the sauce.
Bone in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe the bone out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have the boneless buffalo cruller, too.
Oh, there we go.
I like the sausage cruller.
The sausage cruller is awesome, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, granted, they have 4 different sausage crullers. I mean, do you like the sweet, the spicy, or the breakfast?
Oh, the spicy.
The spicy?
Oh, yeah.
There's no chorizo?
I think they have the chorizo seasonally.
Oh, that's why it was around Cinco de Mayo.
Right.
I heard about it. I didn't actually.
But yeah, he's up to 364 donut varieties right now.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is.
Must be hard to work there. You got to keep track of all that. Like,
sure. I mean, you've got that many varieties, plus you're making multiple of each variety every morning.
Yeah.
He must get there at like 10:30 at night to get the donuts ready for the next morning.
I think I remember in a call, because I remember when he was talking about leaving, he was talking about closing and leaving Manchester, and I remember he called the morning show, and he was like, I'm done.
Yeah,
and
he did. He was done for a little while, I think.
And I think he was
angry.
I think he had even said that he was upset about.
Well, he broke up with his wife.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He broke up with his wife. That shut down because I remember this from when he called the show sporadically.
Yes.
He was going through issues where his wife and he broke up. That reduced the business greatly because she was the one that was pounding the dough in the morning to get the donuts and the bagels ready. No, pounding.
Oh, she pounded. She didn't. Is that the secret behind Bill's Donuts?
That's what Bill said at one point. That's one of the secrets is that the dough is pounded by his wife. Yep. In the morning.
I always thought it was because he drank up the rent money and he lost that place where Joe Kelly's used to be.
He didn't describe in detail the reasons, but that's essentially what happened was the breakup. And then it was reduced down to a donut truck in the city.
I remember that.
Then a kiosk in the mall.
Yep.
And he moved over to the airport before that happened. There was locations all over the city.
Yeah. But it was interesting because he was at the Londonderry side for that little part for some legal reason.
Towards the airport, right.
Yes. Somebody was trying to serve him a subpoena or something.
But I guess he's doing all right now over at the corner of Elm and Varney. So if you're listening, go down and check Bill's Donuts out, man.
Yes.
You know, ever since he got rid of the liqueur line, which, you know, he seems to be more successful, you know. Yeah.
Someone told me
you could never find them when you go. I said these liqueur donuts.
They're
I
fantastic.
think Bill had...
well, it's hard to find Bill's.
Right.
But I think you have to go to it's in the back of the plaza, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's behind the plaza. Like, not behind it, but in the back behind
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
in
With
the back
jeans.
behind it, towards the side, like on the left side behind it, but in the back.
Right, yeah.
You know
If you're
what I'm
from
saying?
the west
Yeah.
side, you'd understand.
Right.
And Gene Simmons is heading over there for some more makeup.
Is he?
Well, he's not to the donut store, but...
Well,
you
he'll
know,
probably stop there. He's got a bit of a sweet tooth.
He might.
particularly after...
Should ask him next time.
Running over all those women.
Yes.
Which, I you know, is just metaphorically speaking.
Right, right.
Oh, yeah, he just plows through them.
Yeah. He was handing out 10s and 20s to the homeless. out there.
Why that SOB? He couldn't give me a
Well, he's not from
double
around here.
sawbuck?
That's why he was handing them cash out there. He's not from around here. He doesn't have to deal with them. He doesn't understand that when you hand these people cash, they're just going to stay.
He probably thought they were fans.
Hey, can you help me? Yes, I'm a good person. I'm going to help you. Here's $1.
You know,
Not realizing that if you give these people $1, they're going to come back tomorrow and get another $1 and then another $1, and they're never, ever, ever going to leave. And it's going to stay here, and the problem is going to remain permanently.
Well, they're entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. Right. Meanwhile, these entrepreneurs are actually making $15, $20 an hour standing out there, checking their cell phones and smartphones when nobody's looking, underneath their signs that say they're starving to death.
Every one of them's got like a thought.
So-
I'm not mean every one of them, but I've seen people with a smartphone that looks like costs $1,000.
Yeah, yeah. They all got Obama
Not
phones,
all
is
of
what it
them.
is.
Well, listen, whether it's a...
Remember the one
listen, let me tell you
yeah,
something.
there
Whether
was
it's
somebody.
a $1,000 phone or a $50 phone, it makes no difference, okay? Or whether they have a phone at all, okay? Don't hand these people money. This city has plenty of places for them to get help.
Yeah.
There is zero reason for these people to be out on the street.
Asking
this is the
for the money.
At all.
Out-
At
out-
all.
You know what? You know what they are? They're out on the street for a living.
That's correct.
Yes.
But you know, I got...
And you're absolute. And Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley are right when they sing that song. Can you play that, please?
Yes,
Do you have
I
that
can.
there?
Well, of course.
Hold on, John. I want him to play this. Okay. I want him
agreeing
to
with you.
play this song, Black Diamond. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
Of course.
All right, Black Diamond by Kiss, the very first line.
Diamond, Boy, if only we'd had this discussion when Gene Simmons of Kiss was still here.
Right.
Well, he
right.
thought they were fans.
Listen, I'm not knocking human beings, and I hope you. Oh,
I know
Sorry,
you're not.
go ahead.
Oh, here, let me start it over. See, we get the beginning there.
Okay, so these people are out on the street for a living,
Right.
Just like Paul just said, man.
That's
These
right.
people are out there panhandling for cash. They know what they're doing. They know that they're going to play to the weaknesses of people who work very hard. They know that there are good people out there sitting in their cars at the lights who are going to look at them and say, "Oh, look at this poor guy.
Yeah, from Gil.
Look at him." And I'm a good person. I went to church this past Sunday. I feel bad for them. And you know what? God bless these people for doing that. They're wonderful people for being kind-hearted, but they're getting the wrong message. They're getting the wrong message from these alleged homeless people, okay?
But
Don't hand them cash. There's plenty of facilities in this city that will help them.
And it's helping defeat the purpose of helping people who are truly needy.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Because remember, it's one time I called in because you were talking about this, and Matt thought, Hoppy, the great liberal, is going to go after you. But remember what the story was? I was up with Shorties and Hooks It, and my stepson's telling me there's an old guy there. I'm a veteran, and you'd already known about this guy, but I didn't know. And Jeff says, my father told me that guy is like, a professional. And I gave him a couple bucks. And sure enough, we went to Hannaford, which is right there. And as we're coming back, some guy in a high-end, what's the Toyota Avalon or something?
Yeah,
is
sure.
picking this guy up. And then I found out it was true, because I
Right.
called in, that he's a professional panhandler, and somebody even is putting people out
Okay, so
Yeah.
even
Right.
that one
And
guy.
I was guilty as a veteran. I wanted to help him. And somebody, my stepson had said something. And
Yeah.
right.
And just because that one guy exists, for that very reason, is why you shouldn't give money to any of them.
Right.
Period. None of them.
You're right.
Just don't, okay? There are many, many people right now in the city who are complaining about these people. And I bet you a lot of them who are complaining about it are people that have given them these folks $1 or $2 or a cigarette or whatever. Don't do it. Let them. They're going to stay here if you keep doing that. I've been a Manchester person all my life for the entire 52 years that I've been on this planet. I work on Elm Street. I grew up walking Elm Street during, on Saturdays before the mall was built. This was the mall, the Elm Street shops down here. And it was nothing like it is today. Today, it's got beautiful restaurants. People shouldn't have to be afraid to come down on Elm Street. Personally, I'm not. But I'm sick of hearing how people are afraid to.
Well,
and it's because of these homeless people down here who you have nothing to fear about, but it's incredibly annoying that they're down here panhandling on a normal basis when
it's going to attract.
And the reason why they stay is because they're getting money for panhandling. It's constant.
I handled either an OD or a seizure right from City Hall. I left the show, went out there. And some guy's bounding down, knocking off the walls on City Hall. I said, hey, and then he tried to avoid me, and he fell right in front of the bus stop. I won't go into it because I wrote on it, I think, Manchester Connects or something. But, if somebody just was visiting and sees something like that, I was in the Army, I'm not saying that, but, I was a sergeant in the Army, whatever. I just take the situation, you get the phone, you do certain stuff, and then another couple people helped, and everything worked out well. But, how if you've never seen, it's not that, I don't know how to say it.
Exactly. It's
that's not, and for somebody, but I'll have to say, some of the rhetoric, somebody says, oh, what other city has homeless people in front of City Hall? San Francisco had a homeless encampment. City Hall Plaza was a homeless encampment in the 1990s. It's not. It's a little of the big cities coming here, and there's a lot of reasons for it.
There's
But
a lot
you're
of development.
absolutely right that giving to panhandlers defeats the very purpose of helping the people.
That's correct.
Fred Boenig joins us from the Daily Ripple in the Facebook live chat. Fred says, "Gee, blaming the poor."
Not blaming the poor.
We're not blaming the poor for anybody for anything. We're blaming the people who constantly give them money and they stay here, knowing that they're going to keep on getting more and more handouts. So therefore, they stay sleeping on Elm Street, waiting for that next handout. Nobody's blaming poor people, genius. Okay.
And who's more? You're my director. So who's more like liberal than I am?
Blaming poor people. That's great. You're brilliant.
I've lived in cities and most of my life, and I've seen plenty. But for the first time in my life, I've had 3 incidents where people have come at me like I think I'm in New York, and then you have to go into your New York mode, look somebody like in the face. As Boston as a kid, I always lived in crappy places till I had some money, and I would. That's the first time, and it was like a 6-month or 4-month period, 3 times. A person, you can tell when you live in a city like San Francisco or New York. I lived in New York well before Giuliani, and it was all cleaned up. You have to be on guard constantly. There are all sorts of scams, people coming at you, coming for your wallet, all sorts of stuff.
You got to be street smart, yeah.
And so all of a sudden, it's for the first time. The first time I've ever lived in Manchester, and I've been back now for 9 years, where I actually felt the threat. Somebody followed me, But I'm once again, I don't think of myself as almost 60 years old. You just go into the mode like.
Sure.
I
Right.
went through that, and I was in the Army, and stuff like that. Like, when that situation, if something happened, you take over. Like we were talking about, how in here, I think sometimes I'll try to take over his show, this and that. But,
You've never noticed him doing that.
No, not at all. Not even right now.
That's me, So you can actually, to pretend that, or to say that there isn't, people don't feel threatened.
Right.
And it's coming into a place that doesn't have an experience of this. I remember Downtown Judy, and there were eccentrics and the professor before our time.
But you know what?
But it
Those people
wasn't-
that you're referring
they were
to right now, they walked right by you. They didn't
And they were
sit
part of
there
our
and
community.
panhandle.
Right.
They didn't pull you aside and say, "Excuse me, could I
Right.
get some money?"
Yeah.
They didn't do that. They did their own thing, and that's it. There was nothing to get intimidated about. There was nothing that made you want to have them rushed out of town or whatever, and there was nothing about them that made you want to move out of town as well.
Right,
So-
and let's say when I'm sitting there, standing there afterwards, I was thinking about it. I wrote on Manchester Connect, and I say, they're all. I was thinking about when the people, me and two other people, because I'm colorblind. Oh, what color is he? So I have to hand over the phone, and we're all handle the situation, and the people come, the police and the EMTs. But then I'm thinking, in a way, like people are there. Like Ted Gatzis was there in the sense that he recognized the problem, and we tried to create something to help people, like with drug addiction and stuff, which ironically brings more people here.
Mm-hmm.
And but
I gotta interject with what. So Fred is
Fred's
saying,
of course, going to
Fred. Well, yeah, Fred disagrees. He says, "Oh, it's the stray cat reasoning. Don't
No.
feed them. Don't let me
on.
finish reading. Don't feed them, and they will go away. Got it. Humans, genius that may be suffering. Oh, humans that may be suffering from mental illness or drug abuse.
We're not talking
okay, so they
about
all
that.
are, right?
We're not talking about
I think a lot of them are. I think a lot
sure,
of them
they could be,
are,
absolutely. But you know
mental
what?
illness,
there are
yeah.
facilities within this city and state that help people who are dealing with mental illness.
And we are trying to help them by creating an
and
infrastructure.
throwing a $1 bill or a $5 bill at somebody on the street does not help them with their mental illness.
We have a call. I think I know who it is. Is that Fred?
Yeah, you do.
Fred Boenig from the Daily Ripple. How are you?
Hiya, Fred.
He's got the real. He was a conservative once. Now he's got the truth of liberalism, kind of like Chris Herbert.
Well, people change. People evolve.
Well, thank God if he is a liberal at this point versus a
right. Yeah. What do you have to say, Fred?
Well, I was just going to say, there's, what towns have homeless people in front of them? There's homeless people that sleep on the benches in front of the White House. I mean, let's be honest. That the problem isn't about whether you pay them or you give them money. And just so you understand, when I go to Washington, my business partner brings socks, brings envelopes with $10 bills in them. And when she meets people, she stops, she sits down with them. When they ask for money, she sits down, she asks them their name. She asks them if they like socks, because that's a big deal, especially in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And then, she will talk to them. She'll tell them her name, and then she'll give them money. But she treats people like humans. Now, what you're talking about here and the way you're speaking is, well, if you don't give them money, they'll go away. It's the stray cat thing. If you don't feed them, they don't come back. That's not how we deal with humans. That's all I'm saying.
No,
maybe the
saying
situation is bad, but maybe the solution isn't not paying them. Maybe it's understanding what to do with the mental illness or the homelessness, or providing something to support them. That's all.
And that's what we're doing here.
Right, and that's exactly what we provide to the people in the city. And if you have a fire burning on the side of the street that is constantly burning on its own, that cannot go out, you don't stand there with a bottle of charcoal fluid to keep it going.
These are humans. They're not a fire.
It doesn't matter.
Let's try
I'm
to keep
telling
that
you, I'm
in
giving you an
perspective.
analogy.
When you're using an analogy, let's use an analogy that actually fits humans.
Okay.
Like
All
they are
right.
home.
Dude,
I'll give you an analogy.
Am I
right
wrong
now.
that they're humans? Are you saying they're not humans?
No, we're all humans. Okay, I'll give you.
And they're probably citizens of the United States.
I'll give you a different analogy right now.
with
Okay,
anything?
I'll give you a different analogy right now. If there is a situation where people have the availability to get assisted, okay, like mental institutions or places where you can go get shelter and food, there's no reason why they should be out on the streets panhandling for money underneath those signs and people handing them money like that. Because if they
so these people can go someplace, you're saying, in your town, and spend the entire day there,
our city,
get food, maybe education, medical assistance, shelter, and basically live there rent-free for no problem. And that's
who's talking about
consistent for
rent-free?
every day
Who's
of the
talking
week.
about rent-free?
This is a politics.
Oh, I see. I see.
What I'm saying
We
is
don't live in a
that maybe the
dollhouse.
reason why they're there is because they can't have all that. They don't have those things that you're saying that maybe they don't even know about them. Maybe they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just saying that maybe that's a situation. Maybe there's a drug problem. Maybe there's a lot of other problems.
And you're here.
But maybe the solution isn't speaking like they're stray cats. That's just not the way things will ever get solved, because we've seen how that works.
So, in other words, you
And
think
that
that it's
doesn't work
fine.
well.
You think that it's fine for some guy to stand there in a corner with a sign that says, "Give me money, I'm hungry," in one hand, and in the other hand, he has a smartphone that he's using when nobody's looking. You think that's fine? You think that's good? I don't think that's a stray cat.
Yeah,
These
I know.
These are
And he's
humans we're
probably
talking
got an
about.
access card, and he's probably buying steak,
These
too.
are human beings we're talking
let's be
about.
honest on that.
They're not
is
cats.
Maybe
They're
he
human
is hungry.
beings.
Maybe it is the phone he has that he got for $5 because he was able to get
$5.
$10, so he was able to communicate. All
$5.
those things, but that doesn't stop the problem.
Yeah, smartphones are $5.
You're talking about the symptom. I'm talking about the problem.
The problem I've always had with you, Fred, is you always talk in abstractions. You're not here. And I've noticed somebody that defends the homeless and that. I was talking about boycotting restaurants that come out and talk about certain things. And then I talk to people and we have a dialogue. We're not living in a dollhouse full of abstractions here. And if you were here, we were talking about a particular panhandler that's being put up by a guy in a high-class automobile. And it's not as simple as you're thinking, as abstraction. That's what gets me about people. There's life as it is lived. Like, I'm out there and I just helped somebody that might have OD'd. It might have been a seizure. And I'm there helping because of my stuff.
I've never met a homeless person. I've housed homeless people in my home for years.
And
really,
you're going to
homeless
call and tell
families
us about
live in my home
Manchester. You
for
want
free.
to argue
So don't start with the oh my God, you don't know what you're talking about.
Do you do it now?
Maybe you don't actually know what
do it
you're
now?
talking about.
Why
in
don't
this
you
case,
call
because that's
in
not true.
and it's like you're proselytizing. It's like there's nobody like
John,
okay, I'm
hold
going to
on.
let him take over, but don't put Paul down.
Fred, do you house homeless people now when it's needed most in this day and age? Do you have homeless people living with you now?
Currently, not at this very moment, but recently, yes, for 2 years.
Just
for
wondering.
2 years, a homeless family in my apartment that I have.
Okay.
And before that, I did it for years.
All right.
Currently, at this
that's
moment,
great.
I don't, because I have doctors living in my homes that are going to school.
Okay.
Young doctors that are doing that.
Fantastic.
I mean, that's what I do. So please, when you talk about something, refer to it as the abstract, but not in my case, because I'm actually doing what I walk my talk.
Right.
But,
okay. Well, so do I.
Right.
I don't give these people money.
Okay. Then that's
so
all I'm
do
saying
I.
is don't be treating people like cats.
I don't treat
That's
people
how you
like
treat
cats.
cats.
I don't
I
treat
know
people
who are you
like
to
cats.
say
What
that
are you
to
talking
him?
about?
Thing we've heard for
so
years.
I don't hand
Who are you
some
to say
idiot
that
on the
to us?
corner a dollar bill who's standing under a sign that says "Don't give these people money." That means I'm treating them like a cat.
And who are you?
You,
to
sir,
judge
are a
us?
moron.
Who are
I don't
you
even
to
want to
judge
listen
us?
to you anymore.
I know.
I don't know who you are besides Jesus Christ, who takes in homeless people. But I think I don't want to listen to your BS anymore. So I'm going to take off the headphones so you can ramble on to Matt. Okay? Have a good one, genius.
And I just
That's
wanna
your
say-
nickname. Whenever you call here, that's your nickname is Genius when Paulie C is here, okay? Genius.
Well,
have a good night, Fred.
Fred
I just wanna
is
say
Fred.
something.
Wait, I just got to say, Fred is a very, very smart guy.
That's fine.
You just disagree on this
he's
issue.
fine.
It's not just about disagreeing. Who is
He's
he to
brilliant.
judge us? I have my ass out there defending homeless people, and I'm I go talk to people. I'm trying to arrange something. Here comes Fred. This is what's so irritating about him, and which I always did, which I told you about earnestness of liberals,
Right.
and particularly one that loved Ronald Reagan, who put all the people out on the street, that emptied out the institutions to save money. And he's going to call in, and he's going to tell from his dollhouse and tell Paul and me what the situation is here. When we've had
And that we're treating them
interactions.
like stray cats
When
because
I'm
we
out
don't
there
give
trying
them
to
money.
take care of a person, I took my coat to shelter the person, and I have on Manchester Connects. But he's going to call in and judge us.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's just that's the problem with people that live in an abstraction. And That's the problem with earnest liberals. I mean, who the hell is he to judge? And he's a Christian, right? Well, judge not, lest ye be judged. You don't know what we're doing. You don't know the situation here. But you know everything, don't you? And I'm taking my headphones off, and that's one of the reasons I can't talk to that guy. You know, you can be... I have friends that, you know, Yale University, that teach it at Yale University, went to they got their PhD at Johns Hopkins, and they're going to tell me, Paul, what it was like. You know, they're going to tell the guy that went to private school in Canada is going to tell me all the problems of the United States and about the working class. I mean, it's just irrational. Some people,
right. Sure.
And you know, because I'm going to say, we discussed this. We've had. You know, there's no more to be say.
And just for the record, I treated them like bears, not cats. Don't feed the bears.
All right. Oh, I got to hit the dump button.
Are they done?
I think so. I think so, Fred. Yes.
Okay. Well, since neither one of them are listening, I'll just speak to you, and I'll just say this: when we refer to people that are poor, homeless, whatever the reason they may be, maybe that. You know, I just have my doubts that some billionaire is standing out on the corner trying to get nickels and dimes. I just, you know, that theory is just doesn't work for me because there really isn't that much money. But the other thought is that maybe because he has a cell phone, we don't know why he has a cell phone. But
right.
You know what? Obviously, if he could, he probably wouldn't want to be standing on a corner averaging what? Do you think he gets $10 an hour to stand there? Okay. Well, big deal, because that ain't enough to put food on his plate for the whole day.
Right. No, I think he gets about $30, $35, $40 an hour, Genius.
You weren't listening.
Sorry,
so please,
Genius. He probably makes about $30 an hour.
There you go.
Well, we have no way of knowing. But anyway, I think you guys just I think you have different ideas about solutions, and I think it got very emotional.
Well, my solution the only solution that I have, I don't know what the solution is,
yes.
But it isn't to treat people
like stray cats,
people that are poor, in a way that would be the same way. Well, don't pay them; they'll go away.
That's correct. Don't pay them money,
we need
folks.
to figure out a better solution.
City of Manchester, do not pay these people money, and they will go away.
I
thought they weren't listening.
Well, yeah. Paul put his headphones back on. But John,
okay, well then, hey Paul,
John stormed
just so
out.
You know, I'm not a genius. I'm not anything.
No,
but I know
are.
one thing. I
no,
walk
you
my
are.
talk, and I do it every day. So thank you very much. I'll let you go, Matt. You can finish.
All right,
you are
Fred,
a
thank
genius
you.
in this instance.
Bye-bye. No, Fred is. I got to vouch for Fred. He's a very, very smart guy.
Well, then what's the problem?
But I think, there's no problem. You guys just disagree.
No, I know.
That was good radio.
He's
though.
fine.
That was great. And Hopwood stormed out. But,
yeah,
when he loses it, that's really good stuff.
No, the only thing that I had a problem with there is being told that I'm treating human beings like cats or stray cats simply because I'm not handing them money.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not the case. What I'm trying to point out is if you keep on giving a guy who's standing on a street corner money and multiple people keep doing that, that same person will be back there tomorrow to do it again and again and again.
Well, I think, not to speak for you, but tell me if I have this right. I think you would prefer, you know, it's not that you don't have compassion for them, but you would prefer that they go and get services.
Well, of course I have compassion for them.
You'd prefer they go and get services that are available instead of just standing there trying to collect money. Right.
Listen, it rips me apart to see somebody here who is down on their luck. There was a point in my life where I was moments away from being homeless myself.
Right.
I told you that the other day.
This is where the disconnect was in you guys communicating, I think.
Right. Okay?
Yeah.
And that was less than 10 years ago. But the thing is, okay, is that I decided to get help, okay?
Yeah.
Get help mentally, physically. I reached out to people who were in the same kind of situation that I was. And it wasn't no walk in the park that I was going through either.
Right.
All right? I was near death, and I was having a serious issue in my life. I reached out, and now, 9 years later, I have 3 jobs. Not one, I have 3 jobs, and I work for a living. I have a roof over my head, and I eat 3 meals a day, and I work for a living. And the only thing that separates me from many of those people, sans the ones that have serious mental issues, is the fact that I have a job. That's it.
Right.
There are many of them out there with their $5 smartphones that could be out working, filling out job applications and working. And this is coming from a Democrat, not a Republican, a Democrat, liberal guy who has passion for these people. But again, I've been in this city all my life, and you can tell when somebody is scamming you and somebody who truly needs help out there. There are elderly people out there who need help.
Yeah.
And again, there are places to go for help in this city.
Well, I think part of the problem, and we're almost out of time, but I think part of the problem is you can't always tell.
You can't tell. It's very hard to tell.
Yeah.
But you can't assume they're all mentally unstable or need help mentally and can't get it. That is absolutely ridiculous.
But to Fred's point, you also can't assume that they're all trying to scam you either.
No, that's
but
true,
that's
too.
not the point Paul's making. It's like there's veterans out there, homeless veterans. If you're going to give them money, and they need to get treatment, and this city and the VA are committed to helping them. In Nashua, they paused all the veterans. If you're giving money to people, if you're giving one to a veteran that he can still live on the street, you are preventing him or her, and there's a good deal that it's going to be a her, from getting help.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about. And so
I just want to say that wasn't me belching.
That was me. That was Paulie.
Was that a comment?
All right, we are out of time. Gentlemen, thank you both so much.
Thank you, Matty.
John Hopwood and Paul Cormier.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Gene.
What?
Don't forget Gene
I can never
Simmons.
forget Gene Simmons
Like it.
of KISS. And thank you, Fred Boenig from the Daily Ripple, for calling in.
Thank you, Fred.
And thank you to Easy G, who called in earlier as well. And Eric did call, didn't he?
Well, hello,
He didn't call while I was here.
No, I think he called early. Oh, yeah, and of
when I was
course,
on the road.
Jeff Skumpi Lorenz, who's playing at Panucci's tomorrow night with DEF CON. All right, and we're totally out of time. Talk at y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
IPMNation.com.